One of the things that's really important in astrology, but again, to apply this to life, astrology just makes it easier to understand, is to understand where in your life you need to be embracing your weird as well as other people's weird. So, this relates directly to wherever you have Aquarius and Uranus. Uranus is the planet that rules Aquarius, at least in modern astrology. I personally think Aquarius is more like Uranus. Those two are kind of mutually exclusive. There is definitely a Saturn influence, but by and large, I think it's definitely more Uranus. Because these are unique individuals. Whoever or wherever you have Aquarius, so if this is planets and asteroids in your chart, again, this is what can be interesting. It's of the lens, right? Of the lens of that planet. So I'll give a couple of examples. If you have Aquarius in your moon sign, for instance, it means that you are going to be misunderstood or not like other people. You don't feel the same way. You don't really associate with most people, etc. from an emotional level. You don't see things the same. And so it's important in order to connect with people that you find people who in those areas, so again, either their moon sign or their Venus sign or anything that kind of relates well with the moon sign, you find people who have either compatible placements or they have Aquarius in those areas, because they're going to understand where you're coming from and you're going to understand theirs. So it just gives you a connection, you know. It can also be houses that relate. So again, if they're talking about the moon sign, it could be the fourth house, for instance, that if that person has Aquarius in the fourth, or in the eighth house or the 12th house. Again, it can kind of show up in different areas, but it'll be something that relates to, what am I saying? I'm talking about Aquarius. I think I got confused with the moon. Although it does work, it does, because we're talking about moon. Or you could go with the houses that relate to Aquarius in this regard. It could be the 11th house, or the ninth house, the first house, the third house. Again, it depends on which way you want to go with it, but all of these will translate either to the moon or to the house that is complementary to the sign of Aquarius. Again, it just gets more and more complicated the further you go down the rabbit hole. But it shows in that area, it's where, again, you're going to be misunderstood. Other people are not going to really understand what you're saying or what you mean or whatever. It can be isolating. It can also show where you're going to be a little bit, I call it mad scientist. So like you kind of tune out or zone into the things that you obsess over. And this can be in this area, maybe you forget to eat. This is really common with Aquarius placements. They forget to eat. They get so caught up in what they're doing. Again, this can also look like neurodivergence. So personally, I think people who've got really heavy neurodivergent tendencies, they probably have a lot of Aquarius influence. And it will show up in the areas where they're really different. So for instance, if you have Aquarius Mercury, for instance, the way that you communicate is different. Other people won't understand. They're probably going to misunderstand what you say. And it's going to make you feel like a weirdo, a mad scientist, misunderstood, isolated. It also can show that you, when it comes to communication, when it comes to your intellect, you put concepts together that other people may not be able to do. And so it gives you an edge. It can also mean that, you're not going to relate as well to other people. And again, that can be upsetting. But it also shows where you can recognize trends in terms of your intellect and communication. So this is a really interesting thing. And if you use it correctly in the right ways, this could help you with work. This could help you with interacting with other people, could help you with recognizing trends in that area if you choose to do work with stuff like that. Like, it is really fascinating where you can go with that. Again, it's about knowing, and that's why I like to do readings. And I haven't made one specifically for this, but you could do like an attraction reading or a life purpose reading. Again, it wouldn't really matter. It's more, I'll go into the level of detail that you want based on what reading you choose. And then, you just let me know what you want me to focus on. And again, the sky's the limit. Like, who cares? I'm happy to look at and research whatever it is you want me to. I don't mind. And, the more creative we can get, the more interesting it becomes. But it just shows where you're going to be not like other people. Again, Aquarius complements really well, or is compatible with, I think the top sign is Sagittarius. So wherever you have Aquarius, you're going to instantly get along with other people who have Sagittarius, either in that area or areas that complement. It's also quite good with Gemini. And Libra is also a nice choice. Leo can also be quite complementary. Those are the top ones, in my opinion. There are a few little outliers. Sometimes Scorpio can go well. I know that sounds weird. Sometimes Cancer can go well. Again, it all depends on what else is going on in the chart as to what you're going to lean towards. It depends on what area of life we're talking about as well. If we're talking about relationships, it's probably 7th house is going to have Aquarius in it. Not always, but it's pretty common. If you're really attracted to the sign of Aquarius, probably is in your 7th house if it comes to dating and whatever. If you have it in your 10th house, that's where you gain power in terms of how you express yourself at work, how people see you, this kind of stuff. It's going to show up in that area of your life wherever you have Aquarius. But it's where you need to embrace your weird as much as possible. It's where you need to really gravitate towards the fact that no matter what you do in this area, you're not going to be like other people. And when I say like nobody's like other people, I know that. But this is where you're really different. This is where it separates you from other people. Like, it isolates you. You're seen as a bit of a freak. It's an area that can be mockery based, or, you're sort of isolated. And, it would have been interesting in the past because being isolated from the group was not a good thing. You had to conform, or, people would think, there was something wrong with you. And of course, there was only a certain amount of resources back in the past. So people like that would be outcasted. Luckily, nowadays, we don't really have that problem. And in fact, the more unique you are, the more different you are, the more it's going to show, as long as you utilize it and you use it in the right way, that can show where you can become really popular, or make kind of a difference, or whatever, to society. It shows where you're able to contribute in those ways. And it's interesting in that regard, because it just shows how different you can be and how much you can offer different things in that regard. So anyway, I hope that was interesting, and I'll see you guys next time.